What is up, you guys? We are here for our lunation workshop. This is the Aquarius new moon annular solar eclipse, and it is the beginning of the Chinese Lunar New Year, which sets us off into the beginning of the year of the fire horse versus the year we were in, which was the year of the snake, the year of shedding. And so a lot of people talk about this year being lighter with a lot more momentum and ease, but that is going to be as a result of our focus and our intention and our discipline. The fire horse can also be impulsive and reactive, right? So we have to practice a lot of self-control this year too, and then find perseverance, find sustained endurance to maintain, because when you think about the energy of the year, and when we think about years, the last couple of years, how it feels like they just go so fast, they just fly by, and everything is just moving so quick, and you're having to move so quick to keep up with it. I have a feeling that is going to be the pace of the year. It's not necessarily going to be that we're just feeling so energetic all this sudden. I think it's just going to be a pace that we're going to have to learn to keep up with and to rise to. I myself am not starting off the year of the fire horse with all of my pistons blazing. I'm kind of on an empty tank. I feel like I'm driving in a beater right now. I mean, my car is fine, but my human vehicle is so beat up from Valentine's still. All my coworkers were just like, our feet are all killing us. Our ankles are swollen, and it feels like we all have stress fractured feet and ankles. We're decrepit. So yeah, I'm looking forward to my days off coming up to rest and recuperate, but I did not want to skip our lunation workshop tonight. I know I said yesterday that I may or may not do it, but I just wanted to make it and to persevere and to do it anyway. So this was also Mardi Gras. So you're probably seeing this on Wednesday because I'm filming this Tuesday night after 10 or so hours after the eclipse after work. So Wednesday is Ash Wednesday. It begins Lent, which is a 40-day fast to commemorate and stand in solidarity with Jesus in the wilderness when he went out to fast and prepare himself for his ministry. And so this is a time, and also Ramadan started today too. So there's so much, so much of the world's population is really focused on self-sacrifice and fasting and change and transformation. So I always participate in Lent. I think it's a very good, I'm a mystic, so I love ritual, I love a fast, I love a feast, I love, some deep spiritual work that requires weeks of focus. So this is right up my alley. But I have chosen a couple of different things to give up during these 40 days. And I think that Catholics might have a thing where they break Lent on Friday and they eat fish. I'm not Catholic, so I don't know all of the official rules, but how I observe Lent is that I pick the things that I'm giving up and I give them up for the 40 days. I don't take any breaks, because I figured when Jesus went to the wilderness, he didn't take breaks. And while he was there, the whole point is that the opponent came and tempted him while he was in the wilderness. So I like to maintain the 40 days and try to gain strength and dominion over my temptations. So I usually give up some comfort things, and this year, one of the things that I'm giving up for Lent, as far as I took out some of the mundane dietary things that I'd done several of those last year, which I found that I was able to get through Lent without a lot of difficulty. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe those things aren't hot button issues for me anymore. So this year I was reconsidering some of the things, And so sweets is one. That's something that is a quick reflexive go-to for me, especially when I'm wanting to, like, you know, pacify my dysregulated nervous system at work. It is something that it is a reactive behavior. I am also, so this is going to be the deeper transformation, because before I get into that, when you give up something for Lent, like a physical mundane thing you're not going to partake in, or you're going to prohibit yourself, you should attach it to a spiritual sacrifice and change and transformation that you're also making. So it's not enough to just give up the sweets, right? What am I going to think about, like, behavioral wise and consciousness wise? What am I trying to really transform when that temptation is just really a reminder? Oh, I'm tempted to grab that chocolate, or I almost grabbed that thing at work, the candy at work, and ate it. So when you tell yourself no in that moment, oh yeah, I'm doing this fast, what are you really trying to change about yourself, right? So is it your temper? Is it a judgmental, like, condemnation that you have with someone? Do you need to forgive someone? Do you need to try to make peace with someone? Like, maybe you have a person who is a thorn in your flesh, and you have to, you're not going to necessarily change them, and you're not going to necessarily find them less annoying. But if you can make peace with the fact that you're doing your best and you're trying, and they're going to be in your life, and you're just trying to release the part in you that gets so annoyed with them, if you give it an earnest effort, like, I've had people like that I held, that I was like trying to forgive, trying to make peace with inside throughout Lent, and by the end of Lent, like, they went to another place to work. So, you know, it can be very powerful, these 40 days, if you have a deeply sincere heart, and you are trying to take the mundane actions in the fast, but you're also attaching that to something about yourself that you want to heal and transform. So one of the spiritual transformations that I'm trying to attach to these mundane sacrifices is Lashon Aresh. I can't remember the proper Hebrew term for evil tongue, but idle speech, negative speech, whether that be about myself or about others, or generally, like, evil speech can manifest in a few different ways. So it's not necessarily always gossip, but it can be definitely malicious gossip, but even just neutral, mindless talking about people. When, say, for instance, that person at the meeting that always has to talk, even though there's no reason to, and everybody could leave the meeting and go back to what they were doing, but they have to ask that question, and they have to open that can of worms, and they have to, like, say something, and it's not really adding any value. They just want to hear themselves talk. That is a form of evil tongue. This is why I love Judaism. It gets nuanced. They're like, you know, that annoying person that drives you up the wall? Yes, they're actually sinning when they do that. This is like a sin that is, like, spelled out and given as an example in Kabbalah classes, literally. So that's an example of evil tongue. So I am focusing on trying to really prohibit and restrict and transform what is coming through my mouth, because your mouth is a very powerful portal of energy and magic, because this is a portal of life, right? You have to feed yourself and take in sustenance in order to sustain life. The genitals are very powerful portals in your body, because they also contribute to life, right? So these are very powerful areas. The eyes, they take in what we see and expose our soul to, so those are very powerful. But the eyes can't really do anything. They're more receptive. But the parts of ourselves that can receive and give, like that can be very that's a very powerful area. So the more light that is around something or someone, the more darkness is attracted to that too, because it wants to take the light. So wherever there is potential for great light to be revealed, there's going to be even more like darkness and challenge that vessel has to go through. Now think about it, right? Look at the world stage right now. Look at what they refer to as the ruling class, the elite class, royalty, billionaires of the world. They have a lot of light to reveal. They have a lot of potential. They could have been beacons of good, but instead they were tempted by absolute evil and darkness in every fashion and facet that there is. So that's a good example of, you see, like, you know, people with all this like potential in life to like do great things, the opponent wants to steal that light and to prevent this vessel from becoming a great light of sharing. So if you have had a lot of struggle in your life, or have lived through a lot of darkness or a lot of challenge, maybe made a lot of mistakes, it's not an indication that you weren't given potential, that you don't have greatness in you. It's probably an indication that you actually have a lot of greatness in you, and that there is still a lot of potential, and the difficulty is the opposition trying to hold you back. I think I have bread in the oven and it is preheating, and so I'm gonna go take that out before it burns. I'll be right back. Okay. I'm a little baby, guys. I'm so tired. That was the hollow loaf that I ate before work. There was a piece left in the oven. Okay, so revealing great light. So one of the other things that I was going to give up is, and this one's very difficult for me, the couch nap. When I'm, trying to relax and be human at the end of my day and just veg out and have dinner and disassociate. Like, once I'm fed, I sort of start to just want to doze off, but I want to stay up because I feel like if I just go straight to sleep, I'm not having any relaxing time. But then it fucks up my sleep because I have like a couch nap, and then I have to get up and go to bed again. And I think that, and then I don't necessarily feel like getting up super, super early. And I think that my life will change drastically if I can get up super, super early, because then I can film and get all of my creative work done before work. So one of my big things for Lent is not couch napping, and then I'm going to set my alarm and not press snooze. So I wonder, are you guys thinking about participating in Lent? Do you normally, are you Catholic, or do you just like to jump in and use this as a nice time to, for personal growth and personal development and spiritual devotion? All right, so we have our Aquarius new moon, which is like we're planting seeds for this new timeline. This is, I think, the moment where we're launching into this new story. This is the starting line. This is the starting pistol going off. And so we're in this fresh new cycle. The cycle is beginning during eclipse season, which is like the big cosmic vacuum cleaner, cleaning up all of the old skin that was shed in the year of the snake. And so this, couple of weeks is going to move a lot of energy around. It might like accelerate things you've already been working on. It might help you shed things that you were working towards letting go of. So a lot of impactful movement going on through this portal over the next couple of weeks. The Aquarius energy itself is one that is not so much concerned with the self alone, but with the greater good, the collective, right? It's humanitarian. It thinks about human dignity, human rights, human goodness, the well-being of the planet, the well-being of the people on the planet, right? And so we shifted into the age of Aquarius from the age of Pisces last year. And so what happened, right? We had Pluto moving out of Capricorn, and we thought, oh, what a relief, Pluto's finally out of my asshole. Maybe I can finally have some peace without death and transformation in my personal karma up in my face, up in my George Foreman. And then it was like we had a few weeks. I remember the messages were like, enjoy Christmas, have such a fun time over Christmas. And I'm like, why is it telling us to have such a fun time? Like, why is it just really so insistent on enjoying yourselves? Relax, have a cocktail. Oh, because everything was going to change and we were going to enter into our dystopia in 2025. The great revealing, the Armageddon. So you see how this shift went from, and then Pluto went into Aquarius. I remember thinking like over that void of a couple of weeks, like what's going to happen once Pluto moves into Aquarius? And all of a sudden we shift into the age of Aquarius. Boom. It's not about the self anymore, right? In critical masses, people are waking up and they're not as consumed with their own petty BS. I mean, like, you know, we be about our bullshit, but like, we are not so much like, I can't think of anything over the last couple of years that like, since I guess in the last 14 months probably, that I've just been so concerned about a problem that I've had that just affects me. It's like all of my concern is for the whole of humanity. And so that's the collective shift. It's like everything is going from being like egocentric to like in the collective unity, right? Thinking about making our choices and taking action and having consciousness around the greater good, not just receiving for the self alone. We're actually thinking about the greater impact of our choices and the consequences of those choices. So that is some of the flavor of Aquarius. Aquarius marches to their own drum, their own beat of their drum. So they're very eccentric. They're very individualistic. I've never met two Aquariuses that I can draw any like commonality from. Like they are each unique and custom made. There is also this like very innovative quality and revolutionary quality about Aquarius and some revolutionary rebellion in Aquarius as well. It really shakes things up. What is Aquarius ruled by? Uranus, and the sun is squaring Uranus today. So the hot fires of the sun are staring right up Uranus, and then it feels that way too, right? So yes, just a lot of sharp, focused, like energy, clarity, advancement. Things are going to start moving very quickly. Now, eclipses themselves, like we said, they accelerate things, they clean things up, they help shed things that don't belong in your cycle anymore, or things that aren't going to be supporting you, or things that aren't in alignment with you. It helps to take those things out of your life, and you might be holding on with like a white knuckled death grip, but you gotta be able like to let that go, because if you keep holding on to things that want to come out of your life, it's going to get more and more and more dramatic, more and more uncomfortable. So that could be happening, but it's also a time where what has been concealed is being brought out into the light, into revelation. So whereas when the sun is eclipsed, there's still something that's hidden, that's not quite being revealed. But when we get to that lunar eclipse, it's like what has been obscured, it like comes out. So I have a feeling that a lot more things are going to come out and surface and come out into the public awareness over the next couple of weeks, but also probably in your life too. You might be seeing something that you didn't know about, or finding out something that you didn't know about that really is kind of like surprising, or that changes the way that you see something or the way that you perceive something. It might give you the freedom, and it might liberate you in some way to cut the cords of old contracts, old paradigms, old dynamics, right? When you consider, all these revelations that have already been coming forth, right? There might be, like the grand finale of a fireworks show going off, just like pop, 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 pop. You're like, this was related to that, and oh my God, from my childhood, so it's going to be a wild but good, hopefully, ride over the next couple of weeks. I think we just have to practice radical acceptance, adaptability, going with the flow, and not having like a real tight hold on how our expectations of how we think things should go or will go, right? We have to be able to trust the divine detours and directions of things and how they're unfolding right now, and just do our best we're only bringing half of the situation here. We do our best, we give everything we've got, and then we ultimately are like, I let go of the outcome is in God's hands. I know I did everything I could on my side. We're not complacent, we're not passive, we're not haphazard thinking, well, if it's meant to be, then it'll be all right. We're not being reckless. We're being proactive, we're being responsible, and we're doing our best. But ultimately, we have to let the chips fall where they may, and not perceive something not going as planned as a failure. Because the success is that we showed up and we gave, and we were consistent, and we followed through, and we gave our best, and we gave from our whole heart. And that is already a success. What happens after that is the creator's choice, and it's not up to you to worry about at that point. Unless there are follow-through steps, you have to maintain the situation, just check out. But you guys know what I mean. All right, so what have we talked about? We've talked about, oh yes, and then the other huge thing right now is the Saturn Neptune conjunction at 0 degrees of Aries that's happening this week. And look it up on your own to confirm the date. I've heard both the 20th and the 21st. And on in the Magick of I calendar, I think it has it listed as the 20th, but they are conjunct already. It's just that what day is 0 degrees of Aries, I'm not quite sure about. But I think it's this week. It's like the 20th or the 21st. So it'll be Friday or Saturday. All right. That is a very powerful aspect happening, because it's the end of a cycle of like, there's a couple of different cycles that are being measured that people are talking about. There's one like 2000, like it hasn't happened in 2000 years. And I think that's because when they're conjunct, like they conjunct, have been conjunct in Aries over the last couple of 100 years, but it's been a couple of 1,000 years, I think, what it is, since they've conjuncted at 0 degrees of Aries. So since the beginning of modern imperialism, right? Like, think about this. 2,000 years ago was when Jesus was here. And when you look at the state of things, it feels it's giving Roman Empire. It's giving the Messiah is coming. It's giving all of the same old, issues that people were dealing with then. We haven't really progressed very far since then. We have the illusion of progression, and we have, the progress as far as the revolution, like the Industrial Revolution and the technological revolution, but our consciousness didn't evolve ahead of those things. And so we've been sort of on a self-destruct countdown, because we didn't have the consciousness to carry the responsibility of the advancements we've been making. So the planet is teetering, careening over the edge with the, resources. But I think those are all definite, challenges that we have the capacity to resolve and to repair. And I think the planet has the capacity to heal and meet us halfway. But there are just systems in place and people who are lording over those systems who have actively set it up against us. And so, it's about defeating those old paradigms and cleaning out those old structures, and then re-implementing new solutions, new systems, new structures. And I think that people are brilliant and they have a heart to use their brilliance for good and positivity. So we just have to overcome the older dying class that wanted to use their brilliance for evil. So hopefully we can get these ghouls out of the way and, have peace on earth and goodwill towards man. Okay, and so another thing about this Saturn-Neptune conjunction in Aries is that we have like this delusional, dreamy, no offense to like Pisces, but this is like the caricature of the energy. It's like delusional, dreamy, spinning illusions, lost in illusions. Oh, wouldn't it be great if, oh, well, we're not gonna actually do it, but like, wouldn't it be great? It's like living in a dream state, talking a big game, keeping things up in the imagination, keeping things in the potential, in the realm of potential. So you're not disappointed, right? Once something comes into the physical, that was the expression of it, and you label it either a success or not. So a lot of people don't want to disturb the fantasy. They'd rather keep getting drunk off of the fantasy of the potential. And so that has been Neptune in Pisces for however long it's been in Pisces. And now Neptune is moving into Aries, which is more fiery. It's more like, no, let's get this done. Let's take action. Let's do it. Aries is all about jumping in and taking action, but they have less discipline, right? They're the baby of the zodiac. So they have all the energy in the world to get out and experience and do things and build things and create things, but they burn hot and they burn out fast. So Saturn is here adding in structure, perseverance, pragmatism, practicality, stability, sustaining steps, right? Being, having endurance, having discipline, having structure, practicing restriction, So respecting our time. And so whereas Saturn is the planet of karma, so karma is being paid where payments are due, and karma's debts are being collected where the debts are due. And if you've been doing the work and giving it your all, then Saturn usually comes with a boon, with a gift. But if you haven't, Saturn usually comes with a citation, and you have a something to answer to and for, and probably not a pleasant way. So, but don't be afraid, because I'm sure you guys are probably going to be expecting a nice surprise, hopefully. So, okay, entering into Lent, setting our intentions, beginning the new cycle with a fast is great because it's really adding so much power and potency to your intention, because you're giving something up from yourself, right? Dark, evil people sacrifice something else outside of them. It doesn't cost them anything other than maybe money or effort, a little bit of effort, but it's not something, it doesn't ask them to be less selfish, right? Or become less evil or wicked, right? And we see how much power that yields them to advance them. The only thing more powerful than that is self-sacrifice. Is sacrificing our own comfort zone, our own selfishness. That outweighs that the dark, power and magic, like by 10 times. So when we start the year going through 40 days of self-sacrifice and restriction for the sake of becoming a better vessel of the light, for the sake of shining our truest, purest self through, when we think about, like giving our all, our best energy, our, being in the best spirits, being able to see our BS or our reactive nature and that not have so much control over us anymore, that brings us closer to God, because then we're becoming more like the Creator, right? So when we're doing that for those reasons, it adds so much power and blessing and protection. It releases and reveals all of this inner light out of our soul soul from inside our soul, and it just starts radiating out, and it empowers, like literally physically, our aura, and it draws in blessing, and it provides protection. All right, so getting our head out of the clouds, getting really practical and disciplined, taking action, having passion and excitement about it, being connected to our why, and having consciousness in our intention, taking action, following through, and staying on it. Okay, the first card that comes out is representing us in this moment. Oh my God, it's time to take action. You're the fire horse. Time to take action. Take inspired action. Yang energy. Follow your inner guidance. Wasting time will cause discontent and stagnation, even chaos. Support from the universe. Divine timing meets preparedness. Catch the wave of magic. Wow, how appropriate for our first card out. Okay, next card is going to be the energy that's crossing us at this moment. Lesson learned. Okay, oh my God. So closing out old cycles with like some closure, closing out old cycles with closure, but having closure, like knowing that like we didn't just drop out of school and the old timeline's done and I guess we're thrown into this one. It's like, this is like saying like, no, you completed that cycle. You learned from it, you reflected from it, and you integrated that wisdom and that experience. And now you've become a new person. So I love that. Leveling up, transformation, passing tests, lesson complete for now, being the new you. Congratulations. No turning back now. Stay evolved. Cherish what you've worked so hard for. Wow, not bad. Could be worse. All right, I feel like that was, I lost that card. Okay, so the next card is going to represent the subconscious influence right now. Our subconscious influence. This is going to be a problem, and then you veered off path. So I feel like there's like a subconscious hesitation right now of being fearful that we veered off path or that something is going to be causing a problem. And so it's like that vulnerability hangover that Brene Brown talked about like a few years ago when she had her, she came out with her first couple of books. Or like that ominous sort of foreboding joy. That's what she also talked about, foreboding joy. And it's like you can't settle into a new energy or a new experience because you're always looking over your shoulder waiting for like past traumatic patterns to start showing up again. So not being able to really settle into a new cycle because you're always kind of looking over your shoulder expecting like the worst or catastrophizing. So I think there's a little bit of that, but also the fact that when we get to a new level, there's always a new devil. So there will be temptation. We're in Lent season, right? The devil showed up to tempt Jesus 3 times. So watch yourself over the next 40 days, but particularly over the next 2 weeks, and think about like if your actions and your days are revolving around what you truly value and what is authentic to you and what's moving the needle forward in your life, right? And it's not always about productivity, right? But you know, what is adding depth and meaning and richness, and what is evolving you, and what is bringing you closer to God, right? And kind of use that for criteria on judging whether or not you're going in the right direction or not. There have been a couple of times recently where I'm like, am I veering off path? Have I gone in the right direction? And I keep getting like messages and cards, like multiple cards in a reading that are like, you are where you're supposed to be right now. Like you haven't veered off path. So, you know, we were talking about this in last night's video that just because there's challenge or difficulty in a situation does not necessarily indicate that something has gone wrong. But, you know, it could be just the vehicle through which you draw closer to God through that particular challenge. So you veered off path. Did you lose focus? Have you gotten sidetracked? Did you make a wrong turn, or where do things feel off? And I think that this is, kind of how it feels right now, to just be like, okay, the beginning of this year has been wild. Everything's gone so fast. There's been like snowstorms and all of this to deal with, and then all of the trauma of the stories in the media coming into light, that it feels like it's easy to get so overwhelmed that you get cloudy and you get in a fog and you're exhausted, and because you're taking this psychic impact in, and it can be very ungrounding. And so I think it'd be good to think of this 40-day portal as a time to get grounded and recenter ourselves and have a nice reset and clear our mind and clear our heart and clear our systems. Just like weird clicking sound. And this is going to be a problem. So there's an issue that needs to be addressed. This is a bad choice, a wrong direction, or not the right person, or a habit needs to change, right? Breaking habits during Lent. Something needs to be fixed. There's a wrong choice. Don't ignore this. It will come back to bite you in the ass. So be sensitive to if you feel like you're being shown something that is not quite in alignment or authentic for you, then the end of the snake year, right, and the entering of eclipse season is kind of like the last call for dumping all this crap before you're moving on into the new cycle. So consider it a blessing when you become aware of anything that's presenting itself that may not be on your path or in alignment with you anymore, because we've changed and transformed so rapidly that we're not the same people we used to be. Okay. This card is going to represent a lesson from the past that we have moved on from, that were completed, but it's like the effects are still with us a little bit, but they're dissipating. The law of attraction has been activated. Okay, good. So I think this is very positive. I think that this means that the things that we've been wanting to manifest and draw in, we've been working towards these things and building a foundation. And we've also been doing the transformation on the inside that is going to sustain the fulfillment of that manifestation once it materializes. So a lot of times we might be able to pull off a manifestation, but if we don't have the spiritual and vibrational foundation and infrastructure to hold that, to resonate with that, then we won't be able to hold on to that manifestation very long. And if we do, it won't even be fulfilling. It won't be satisfying. So I think that we have done the work and laid the groundwork for things to start manifesting in our life without them having negative consequences on us, right? Think about if someone has success too fast, they may not truly value or appreciate it, and they may squander the opportunity and their resources if they don't truly value them or respect what they have because of the effort that they put forth. Then something comes too easy, it's like easy come, easy go, right? You don't value it as much. All right, let's see what is crowning us. Conflicting desire. So sometimes when we have a conscious desire for something, we start working towards it, and then it feels like every time we get close to it, it's just like it's always evading us. And we don't know why, because we're like, I'm doing everything right. Sometimes that's true, but what's holding us back or what's causing the thing to repel is an inner conflicting desire that we're not conscious of. A good example is say you want to maybe advance in your career, or you want to make more money, but you're also afraid that that's going to mean a lot more responsibility and less free time. And so you associate getting what you want with losing what you value. And so that can be a cognitive dissonance, that can be an inner conflicting desire where your subconscious is trying to protect you from getting what you think you want, because it's like, no, you don't understand. If you get this thing, it's going to cost you something that's equally important, if not more important. For instance, if you're looking for intimacy and a relationship, but you're only meeting people who are unavailable or that you're not interested in, it could mean that you have a desire to be in a relationship, but at the same time, maybe you are afraid that being vulnerable is going to end up being the thing that gets you hurt. Or maybe you have become comfortable in your routines and your kind of like comfort zone is resistant to letting someone come in and shake that up, right? That could be an inner conflicting desire as well. I know I think about that sometimes too, because as a single girl, I haven't been exposed to anyone else's farts in quite some time. And it seems like when I look back on all of my long-term relationships, when I have memories of these guys that I was with for years, one thing that really stands out in my mind is that they just sat there and farted all day, every day next to me, in the car, right when we'd sit down to eat, like as soon as we get into a freshly made bed. It was just like my whole life, when it is associated with these men that were in my life, is just basically tainted by a fart. I don't really care to have anyone in my life that's going to be a constant stream of farts from now on. So, I mean, this is a silly example, but it is true. So it's like when you think about, is this going to cost you your quality of life? It can give you like pause for concern. So again, what is kind of crowning you, and what might be the last little block is just an inner conflicting desire that you're not aware of, that maybe you just need to dismantle or confront. And maybe it's as easy as just naming it and realizing it, that's something that you can get around. Like, I'm sure there's lots of men out there that aren't farters, but I think you have to identify that early on. Okay, what's coming around the corner? Stop obsessing. So letting go, not being fixated on the outcome, not being rigid and controlling, and not obsessing over, obsessing can be a sign of trying to control a situation. It can be a response to trauma where you're up in your head ruminating, going over something again and again and again. You're overly focused on something. Your frantic, controlling energy is creating a hairball of knots. Your energy has locked up the situation, and your need is creating resistance. What void does your subconscious believe this will fill? No progress can be made on this sorry, I can't read this word, until you let go and surrender. Shift your focus onto something happy. All right, so if we shift your focus onto something happy, it loosens your energy up and it gets things flowing again. It gets you feeling joyous. My hips are hurting really bad. My couch is like feeling uncomfortable right now. I'm telling you guys, I'm aching. Okay, let's see. The perspective that is affecting us now is you're making too big a deal of this. So making mountains out of molehills, this isn't as significant as you think. So maybe the thing that you've got an inner conflicting desire, and it's kind of like this obsessive like kind of dread, and it's holding you back, and it's like something that you're just making too big of a deal about this thing that you think is going to outweigh the good of what you want to call in. So I think that really examining what gives us what makes us resist or reluctant to really go full on after our desires. Do we think that they're going to cost us more than they're worth? Are we afraid it's going to backfire, or that it's going to be energy that we put into something that's not going to pay off anyway, right? What is it? What's holding us back? So what the next card is going to represent how the outer world is affecting us. So that was just how our perception was affecting us. How are others in the outer world affecting us? better left unsaid. This is tied to early childhood fear. Interesting. So there's a behavior that is a direct result of childhood trauma. This is a defense mechanism connected to an event in childhood that made you feel threatened, abandoned, neglected, or not valued. You reach for this behavior in an attempt to comfort your inner child, but this is a behavioral pattern that keeps you stuck. Oh my God. And then what was it? Yesterday we had that whole inner child discussion too. This is a false sense of security. This is tied into the inner conflicting desire. This is tied to the thing that you're obsessing over. This is tied to the thing that you're making too big of a deal about this. It's like because of this childhood trauma that you have experienced, the child in you, children are like, they experience everything like more intensely than an adult would, because they don't have the context. They don't have the resources to contextualize what's happening or compartmentalize or protect themselves. So everything is so like exaggerated, you know, and feels more exaggerated and seems more exaggerated. And so now as an adult, when you can handle the situation, you're still magnifying it and you're experiencing it from an exaggerated lens of the traumatized inner child. So I think that is creating inner conflicting desires and fears that are causing you to obsess, and it's blocking this thing from coming into your life. So a false sense of security, a prop or crutch, this is making you numb, leaking your energy, and keeping you in a subconscious cycle of the child always in trauma. You must go back in time and face the memory of the event. How did it make you feel? How is that feeling similar to the ones you feel now? Replay this memory, but change it. Rescue your child self. See your child self handling or confronting the situation with all the strength, wisdom, and sovereignty and self-worth of the consciousness you have now. So being the person you are now with the consciousness that you have now, you can go back into that scene and enter in as an adult and, you know, let the situation play out differently where you can intervene or you can be there for your child self. Now think about these two examples. So today I saw that somebody said, oh, we used AI to fix our childhood, and it had the scene of Atreyu trying to pull his horse out of the tar pits of sadness that took him under. And it was like, we're fixing our childhood trauma. And in the scene, they had it fixed where instead of the horse going down into the pits and drowning, he kind of like bucked up at the last minute and was able to crawl out of the pit. And so that's kind of like similar. But when you think about Bad Bunny during his performance, when he goes and he hands the Grammy to the little boy watching TV, that was his childhood self. And he was telling that little boy, you are worth more than you know, and you have value, and you need to believe in yourself. And so this same goes there. It's like he was doing in real time in a performance, demonstrating the act that we need to do in prayer and meditation, going back to our little inner child through those difficulties and scary situations and times of insecurity. You know, a lot of times too, I mean, you know, a lot of people didn't necessarily have some big traumatic event like abuse or like a scary accident or, you know, losing a parent or having parents that had a very tumultuous relationship. Like not everybody had like an obvious trauma. But the thing is that we can be traumatized anytime we are galvanized in a situation that we don't feel like we're resourced to manage or handle. And for a small child, that can be a lot of things. So don't be too dismissive of yourself if you're like, well, I don't know, I don't really have any, you know, trauma, or maybe I'm just, you know, making too big of a deal about this. Like in a way you are, but like you felt like it was impactful at the time. Don't dismiss that, but it's not hurting you now. You are safe now. So go back and give that security to your child self. And also the structure that you're building now in your life is making that inner child feel more secure, because nothing makes a child feel more insecure than having no structure, no rules, no routine, no consistency, right? Okay, and so better left unsaid. There's a risk of a misunderstanding or words falling on deaf ears. This will cost something. Consider what you want to say. Consider if what you want to say is constructive or destructive. You may not have all the facts. Loose lips sink ships. So again, that evil tongue, that idle speech, it can leak out your energy. It can sow seeds of chaos. It can really backfire. And so it's so interesting that all of these things have really underscored and emphasized like what I was already thinking about doing for Lent and why. So this is good. So try to be really careful about what you're saying. If you think that this is a good time to tell a hard truth to someone, maybe not. Maybe wait a few weeks. Maybe this is not. I know that in the 2026 prediction series, all through the year, there are reminders. This card came up in so many monthly readings, and I probably in the quarterly readings too, but it was an ongoing theme. There's something about this year that is going to require a lot of self-control about what we say, who we say it to, why, when we say it, being very discerning about that. And being aware of the energy that we're in when we decide to say something is going to make a difference too. And I think that, we don't want to say anything that we can't take back that would be damaging or hurtful to someone we love, right? In a moment of, feeling triggered, or, saying something to the wrong person who is ready to snap, right? People are pretty, stretched as far as their sanity in some circles right now. And so, there's been a lot of really kind of like freaky stories about, seeming random acts of violence, but just, people are, the dial is turned up to 11 right now as far as just like craziness. We used to drive around and think, okay, don't piss anybody off on the road. It's like road rage. People are living life with road rage now. So it extends beyond the car at this point. We're just living life with people in perpetual road rage. Hopes and fears. This is from the ego. So the ego is up to its usual tricks. How are you being triggered by fear, lack, or doubt? How are you being tempted with greed, lust, or power? So think about the hopes and fears. So we hope to get things. We hope to achieve things. But we need to watch out that we're not slipping into lustfully being driven by our greed and like our insatiable appetite to receive and to take, or to achieve, or for validation. We need to be really mindful about the seed level of our consciousness when we're striving for things. At the same time, we don't want to be triggered and reactive from a place of fear, of lack, of doubt either. So the ego can puff us up to be overly grandiose or feel false senses of security, like, oh, we got it made in the shade. Or the ego can tear you down and make you feel like crap, right? It can degrade you along with, giving you delusions of grandeur. Okay, let's see. How are you being tempted with greed, lust, or power? Is this about status, validation, or approval? Is this coming from a sense of despair or despondency? It's going to be a great 2 weeks, guys. All right, and then the probable outcome. And remember, too, that the eclipse energy can play out over the course of 6 months or even 18 months through the whole cycle of eclipses. All right, so let go of control. right? We need to surrender. We need to let go and let God and keep the peace. So keeping the peace, being a peacemaker, it's not necessarily being passive and not stirring the pot, but it is about wise action. You know, maybe there are times where we have to confront things or speak truth to power or, you know, disassemble systems that don't work, you know, and I think people think of being a peacemaker as someone who just keeps the peace all the time. For the sake of keeping the peace. And sometimes that is prudent in the moment, but we need to be conscious about that too, because that can also be a sign of tikkun, where we're too passive and we're avoidant. So I think that with the better left unsaid and the keep the peace thing, it might be that, you know, everything is so tense right now that there could be a lot of potential for backlash. Maybe like an exaggerated response to something that you think is small. So yeah, it may not be the right moment to confront anyone about anything too heavy. We're all going through eclipse season together, so this is probably not the time for that. The ground isn't prepared, so wait it out a little bit, but keep the peace. So not a good time for confrontation, miscommunications, misunderstanding. More needs to be understood before productive conversations can happen. More going on than you know about, or more going on than meets the eye. Interesting. Okay, so let's grab 4 tarot cards to sort of give us a synopsis here. Ooh, 7 of Swords. So all the BS coming out and everything all over the world right now. This is dishonesty. It is trying to get away with anything that one can get away with. This is lying, cheating, stealing. Could be being, you know, seeing the ways we've been dishonest with ourselves, like seeing through illusion and now getting the clarity that's coming through this conjunction. But we're also seeing where others have been dishonest in even systematic ways, right, for generations. So we're seeing the truth is coming out. And we're seeing all the dishonesty and the corruption and, you know, seeing, you know, on a personal level, it's like seeing through where we've had false senses of security, or where we were living in illusion and delusion, and where we maybe were lying to ourselves. But on the grand scheme of things, yeah, we see how that card's playing out. Ooh, devil. So we're breaking through and being liberated from these lies. We're seeing the devil is being exposed, right? The biggest, best trick the devil has up the devil's sleeve is for us to think that the devil doesn't exist. The devil isn't there. The devil loves to live quietly in the shadows and pretend like nothing happened, right? Gaslighting us, like tempting us, luring us in. These people that stand before the devil, they are in loose chains. Right? They could take them off. You know, the person in the White House put a picture on his social media account of him sitting on this gold throne with these people bowed down in front of him, and it looked exactly like this card. Right? So we're seeing literally a satanic cabal of like co-conspirators being revealed and exposed. But we're also seeing how the devil is tempting us in our own life and is playing tricks on us in our own life. And what better card to show up at the beginning of Lent? It's like, hey, if we pay attention and we really can, you know, call a spade, we're going to see the ways that we've been cheating ourselves and we've been dishonest with ourselves, and the way that the devil has been pulling the strings in our life in that way all along. And once we expose that darkness, we expose it to the light, it's illuminated, it loses its grip, power over us, it loses its influence. This can also be breaking addictions and breaking bad habits too. Breaking relationships based on control and dominance. Okay. We have Two of Wands, so ready to go to the next phase. It's like we've got our resources. We maybe have compatible collaborators coming to work with us, but it's like we're here, we're ready, we're just kind of waiting on the rest of the pieces to come together. And you see this woman is wearing an amazing outfit. She's on this like balcony, she's got her two wands, and she's like on her phone, she's like, where is everybody? I thought the like cocktail hour already started. Like, why isn't everybody here yet? So she's kind of waiting for the party to start, waiting for everybody to join in, waiting for, you know, the guests to arrive, but things are about to get kicked off. And then we have Two of Swords. So what is kind of the holdup here is that there's a sense of indecision. There's a sense of not being willing to look at something directly, or not being able to see it because of illusion or plausible deniability, keeping your head in the sand. Or maybe it's like an indecisiveness, like you can't see which way to go, or it might be a refusal to see the truth in a situation. But either way, the situation is going to move forward when we cut through the BS. Okay, let's grab an Angel Wisdom Tarot card. Ooh, 10 of Pentacles. You guys, this is the beginning of a new story. It's the beginning of us building our legacy, the beginning of building like things that are going to have long-term value. And this is if we make these choices, right? So we're in this new cycle, and so we have to develop the consciousness where we're not choosing little instant gratifications, but we're choosing what is going to yield long-term value. Here's an example. Is it better to go impulse shopping at Marshall's and spend all your money and be living at your means or beyond your means, like consumer America? Or is it better to take that money and instead of going to Marshall's and buying more garbage, you put it in an interest earning venture that is growing your money rather than squandering it? That is the idea of 10 of Pentacles. The 10 of Pentacles is like, I am not going to take that action and behave that way because that could cost me everything that I've worked for. So I'm thinking about not just this temporary moment of gratification, but my legacy that I'm leaving behind, right? What am I going to be known for? What am I leaving other people? What am I not just generating into this world to sustain my own life, but is there going to be an echo of me when I leave that I had an impact on others, right? So 10 of Pentacles, choosing things based on long-term value versus instant gratification. All right, let's get a lunation card. This is our moon energy from the Moonology deck. Let's see, we have Surrender to the Divine, full moon. I love that. And then we had another little buddy card come with that. And it's Don't Let Pride Get in Your Way, full moon in Leo. So we've got some ego cards coming up. Don't let our pride get in the way. Have humility, right? Have a servant's heart. Don't let pride get in the way, and surrender to the divine. You know, when we're proud, we're like in control. We don't want to surrender. We don't want to give up that control. We feel so empowered when we feel like we have our hands on the driver's, side on the wheel. But really, sometimes it's all about, taking that step back and let Jesus take the wheel. But surrendering to that divine plan, it does require humility, right? Hubris is like, oh, I'm gonna, maintain control. I'm not gonna give up control. I'm proud. I've got it. I've got this. But humility asks us to give up control and acknowledge that God is the only thing that's in control. All right, let's look and see what the next couple of weeks is going to hold as far as like where we should direct our attention with our manifestations. Stay optimistic. Okay, your dreams are coming true. Don't quit right before the miracles occur. This is an inside joke, you guys. So last night, I was like just talking out loud and praying, and I was really physically beat to a pulp from working at the restaurant over the past weekend, and also just the constant like requirement and ongoing like demand for continuing to make this content. And it's like I love doing it, and it feels like my calling and my purpose, but I have to sacrifice a lot of time where I don't get to like just pursue my little hobbies or go crafting or like get on a dating app or things like that, because it's just like I'm constantly like generating creative material and channeling and trying to do Bible study and things like that go back into all of this work, which I love it and it's very fulfilling. But every now and then I do get a bit discouraged, because in the 4 years that I've had this channel and I've been making videos every day, like the growth has been so slow. And there are always like these people that are like, oh my God, like it just felt like it took forever. But finally after a year, I hit like 100,000 subscribers and I'm like monetized. I'm like, oh my God, like I get like lucky to like sometimes like, I don't know, I get excited to get like beyond like 30 views, and then it'll just drop back down to like 10. And I'm just like, oh, I don't know. For a while there, I was hitting a moment where I was getting like a few hundred views, like in the first couple of hours of my videos being up. That was just like one brief window. And so like last night, I was feeling very crusty and very year of the snake ending, very year of the fire horse starting, very conjunction in Aries. And I was just like, God, I'm getting ready to quit. Like, I'm tired. Like, I barely have viewer retention. I have a couple of viewers, ongoing that keep me going. Anybody that talks to me in the comments, you let your comments literally keep this channel alive in more ways than one. And I was just like, God, like, I need to start thinking about securing my life. Like, if you don't do something with me and for me with this, like, I'm about ready to quit. Like, I'm about ready to say, like, if you want me to keep doing this, like, you need to let something give somewhere. And I don't know if you guys have seen The Chosen, but in season 2, when they meet who becomes Nathaniel, the disciple, he's at the beginning of the episode, he is getting his first big break as an architect with a Roman commissioned job for a big building. And the foreman is not meeting his needs for like some of the materials that he needs, and things aren't happening fast enough for the building to be put together securely, and he's airing those worries. And he in the midst of this back and forth in the argument with the foreman, these arches collapse in on the builders, and he's ruined. And his architectural career that he worked so hard for, that was just beginning to bloom, went to rubble in a matter of minutes. It was just instant. Everything was over. And so the scene, it plays out over a few scenes where he's like going to the bar, he's telling the bartender about everything that happened. And then he goes in a ceremonious way to this fig tree and sits underneath it. And he's got his plans, the architectural plans, of this cathedral, and he holds them up in prayer, and he's like, do you see me? Don't turn your face away from me. Like, this, I did all this for you. Like, I don't know why that this has all come to ruin, and he's like, please don't turn your face away from me. I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional. I'm so tired, and I always get emotional over the Chosen. But at the end of the episode, when one of the other new disciples is like, hey, while we're passing through this town, I want to go visit my friend. And so they're like, yeah. And so the new disciple is friends with the architect guy, and he goes and finds him, and he's all drunk in his passed out, blackout in his apartment. And he's like, hey, I'm sorry about this thing that just happened to you. They have a conversation. He's like, telling him about it. And he's like, well, I've got somebody that you need to meet. And I think that you're going to be really blown away. And I think it's the Messiah. and you're going to totally recognize it when you meet him. And then Nathaniel, the architect, goes with Philip so Philip can introduce him to Jesus. And when Jesus meets Nathaniel, he looks at him and he says, I was there that day. I was there with you, and I saw your face, and I didn't look away from you. And so that's what this card feels like right now. It's like wherever you're at in your life where you're like, I'm about to fucking give up. I'm about to fucking give up. There's always, the last test is always about endurance. And so the temptation is to quit. The temptation is to look after your own best interest, to give up, to throw in the towel, to go the easy route and, just do whatever. But there's something that is important that you have to do that other people can't. And whatever that is for you, if you're feeling like you're just like, I don't think I can keep going. The world's too heavy. The demand is too heavy. It's just, I can barely keep my head above water. Just keep going. Stay optimistic. Do not quit right before the miracle occurs. All right, divine magic. Extra magical energy surrounds your situation right now, so expect miracles. Okay, yeah, the more we can give ourselves in sincere self-sacrifice and transformation, the more of that miracle juice gathers around us. Explore your options. It's time to look at other possibilities, and it's time to make it's a good time to make changes. So again, that's the theme of the moment right now, right? It's like looking at other options, looking at possibilities, looking at, what direction you're moving in now. Is there something you need to tweak, right? Letting go of things that aren't going with you into this new chapter. So it's just taking all the things that we're already considering, right? So it's time to look at other possibilities, and this is a good time to make a change. Okay, and synchronicity, just like the message from last night's episode that I watched to the moment that I was having my own moment where I was just like, I'm gonna quit. I'm King Daviding you right now. I'm if you want me to do this, I'm gonna quit. Moses did it too. But like the synchronicity of then getting that message, it's like paying attention to those things, right? Paying attention to synchronicities. Your prayers and questions are being answered by synchronistic events. Notice them in order to increase their flow. Amazing. All right, and now let's grab some infuriating cards from the Romance Oracle deck, from the Romance Angels. Let's see what we need to know about our love lives. What are we putting our attention on and focus on? What are we healing? Letting go of control issues, right? Not trying to white knuckle our way through the situation. Allow the situation to unfold naturally. Get to know people at a natural pace. Don't force things. Don't force your love life down a direction. It's like, things happen spontaneously. And basically what we have control over is the amount of work that we do to invest in ourselves, the amount of care that we put to ourselves and into our life. That's what we can control. Just like we were talking at the beginning of the reading, we do our best, we give it our all, we do it with all our heart, but ultimately we have to let go of the results and our expectations. And when we let go of our expectations, then we let go of a lot of anxiety. Romantic feelings. Your feelings are real and worth exploring. So your desires for a relationship are real, they're valid, and they're worth exploring. So, opening yourself up to having new energy coming in, new people and new possibilities, right? But feeling that your needs for partnership and intimacy are valid, right? They're not frivolous. Ooh, engagement. Okay, so your love life is about to ascend to a higher level of commitment. So that could mean that you're, maybe you're already in a relationship, and that could mean that you are going to the next level with this person, that you guys are like going into a deeper state of intimacy, or maybe you're going to tighten your commitment and take another step forward in your relationship. But it could mean, if you're a single person, that your love life is about to start becoming more engaging. There's going to be more activity happening. Ooh, like this. New love. I love it. I love this outfit too. I love a little gypsy schmata. Oh, you're not supposed to say gypsy. I'm sorry. It's just, I hold like there's two ways that I look at it. And one is more of like a fashion kind of categorization, but I that's something I need to like fix in my mind, my cognitive association. So bohemian, there we go. That's a better way to say it. So a new person has stirred your romantic feelings. So we could be having new love coming in, and we're entering into these new cycles. If that is the case, it's just like, okay, like you might have a new love come in. You might have a legitimate crush that might be indicating that they have a crush on you too. And so don't all of a sudden lock up and want to control the situation and make it the end all be all. Just be loose, be yourself, have a good time. Don't feel like you have to control the situation or make it happen. Like, be open and be engaging and be warm. But ultimately, the creator will help it along, and don't feel like you need to control. It's like, let things unfold naturally. Don't push it to go faster, and don't play it so hard to get that you're slowing it down to the point where you're not gaining any momentum at all, right? Just kind of let it play out naturally, get to know someone for who they are, and just know that your needs are valid and that your feelings are valid. Amazing. Your desires are valid too. So if you meet someone that you think is cute, but they don't feel that your needs are valid, or they don't match your love languages in any way, then that might be like a temptation that you need to move past and keep your heart open for the relationship that you deserve, and give yourself a chance to have that relationship. Okay, let's get some loving motherly advice from Mother Mary, Jesus' mom. Devotion, perfect for Lent. As I fully commit to my values, relationships, and God, I'm clear about what to do next. So again, lending ourselves to Lent. If you have one little habit you can devote to cleaning up over the next 40 days, and you can attach it to something tangible that you give up, so that when you go to reach for that thing, you also think about the personality thing that you're changing, or the spiritual issue, or the habit that you're breaking, whatever it is. That devotion is going to yield fruit in all the areas of your life. I've never regretted doing a Lent, participating in Lent, and there have always been miracles that play out throughout Lent and all the holy holidays that I participate in, whether it's Hanukkah, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Passover, like something, it's always like, peppered with gifts throughout the whole event or the whole season. And it's not the reason I do it. It's just the byproduct. All right. I mean, we don't have house plants because we think that they're giving us fresher air, but they do freshen the air and they brighten the space. Okay. And now, last but certainly not least, let's get some loving words from Jesus. Oh, I left one card out, but that's okay. Your faith hath saved you. Go in peace. Your faith has saved you. Go in peace. Doesn't that feel like the end of a cycle? Right? Like you have come through an ordeal. Now go forward in peace. Lesson learned. You have had faith. Now go in peace. You've been healed. That's what he would tell people when they would come to him and they would have been going through an ordeal, and he would pray over them and do his thing, and then they would be healed and released from whatever that had bound them, and then he would tell them, go in peace, right? Go in peace. Your faith has saved you. Go in peace. I love that. So wonderful. All right, y'all, that is all for tonight. I am corpse dust. So crunchy and tired and starving, but I will see y'all tomorrow. We will be back for our weekly alchemy message, where we are going deeper into this week's spiritual lessons and unpacking our approach to the work. I hope this was a good workshop for you guys. Let me know in the comments if you had any insights, or if you've had any of these things coming up, or if you are deciding to jump in on Lent, right? It's not about, performative muscling through. It's more about what brings you kind of into a sweeter and closer connection with the Creator. When Jesus went into the wilderness, it wasn't about like survival training and toughening up. It was like going to solitude, the kind of solitude that a hermit loves, right? Like when righteous people and clergy people, they go on these sabbaticals so they can go into spiritual retreats and they can do research and study. And they do it because they want to be isolated in delicious solitude with nothing between them and the Creator. Just study, prayer, connection, reset, cleansing the spirit. And it's done as a joy, like the way that outdoors people like to go camping, right? Some people see this as like, like a workshop boot camp. It's like, it's not really like that at all. It's a spiritual retreat. It's a spiritual renewal, right? And that solitude, that distancing from, all the fast-paced things and consumption and everything right now, it gives us that quiet that we want to connect through. So enjoy it. Don't think of it as a labor, but think of it as something done in love. Through love, from love, by love, for love, to love. All right, you all. Peace.